Airbnb just deleted over 400,000 listings. Let that sink in for a second. 400,000 entire Airbnb businesses just wiped out overnight. No email, no heads up, just poof, gone.
Now, the good news, we survived. All of our listings stayed live, not one got removed. And in this video, we're going to show you exactly how we did it. But more importantly, we're going to show you how to make your listings stay safe too.
We are the Real Estate Robinsons. What's up, guys? If this is your first time here, I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we're real estate investors who quit our 9-to-5 jobs by investing in Airbnbs, and we're here to show you how you can do the same.
But today we're talking about something that affects every host on the platform. Airbnb's 400,000 listing purge. We're gonna hit why it happened, who got hit, how we survived, and most importantly, how you can protect your business moving forward. Because trust us, the rules have changed. And if you're still operating like it's 2019, you're in for a rude awakening.
And be sure to stick around to the end because we're going to break down the entire playbook you'll need to stay competitive on Airbnb in 2025 and beyond. So let's get into it.
All right, so let's talk about what actually happened. So in February 2025, Airbnb dropped kind of a bombshell in the hosting community. They had revealed that more than 400,000 listings have been removed from the platform. Not flagged, not warned, but removed, like literally gone. Now, if you're hearing this and your first thought is, there's no way that number is real, let me tell you, it's very real. And again, it wasn't random. This was part of Airbnb's first ever global quality report, and the message was pretty clear. Quality is no longer optional.
But here's the thing that most people missed. It was a deliberate, data-driven, system-wide reset. Airbnb wasn't just removing the bad listings. They were fundamentally redefining what it means to be a good host.
So what triggered all of this? Well, it started back in 2023 when Airbnb quietly started rolling out its enhanced hosting quality system. Now, most hosts didn't even notice this. There was no flashy announcement, there was no dashboard alert, but under the surface, Airbnb started analyzing our listings in an entirely new way.
They weren't just looking at your average rating, they were cross-referencing guest complaints, cancellation rates, check-in experiences, photo accuracy, and how fast you respond to messages.
They were really kind of reading between the lines of your reviews. And again, even if your average looked good, they were still looking at this other data. And if your listing showed patterns of disappointment, even subtle ones, you were already on thin ice.
The enhanced system also tapped into Airbnb's customer service data. So every time a guest called support because they couldn't get in, or the home didn't match the photos, or the Wi-Fi wasn't working, or blah, 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 it was flagged.
And the crazy part is they weren't just looking at isolated incidents, right? Airbnb started evaluating your listing historically. That means they looked at patterns across all of your bookings, all of your guest interactions, all of your reviews. So if there was one missed message, probably not a big deal, but 3 in a row during check-in windows, you're probably now a liability. One slightly misleading photo, probably okay, but 5 guests saying the property didn't match the listing, now your credibility just hit the floor.
Yeah. So what was Airbnb actually enforcing? They were enforcing 4 new hosting ground rules, not guidelines, not suggestions, but ground rules.
So let's go over what those ground rules are. All right, rule number 1. Reservation commitment. If you cancel on guests, especially close to check-in, Airbnb saw that as a huge red flag. And if your check-in instructions were confusing or access was difficult, same deal. Every broken check-in eroded trust with the platform.
Rule number 2, timely communication. If a guest reached out 24 hours before checking in, asking for the door code, and you didn't respond for like 6 hours, you're not meeting the new bar. Airbnb expects hosts to respond within an hour during local daytime hours, especially if it's near check-in time.
Ground rule number 3, listing accuracy. And this is a big one. If your listing says hot tub, but the hot tub's broken, that's a strike. If your photo shows spacious living room, but guests walk in and it's cramped, that's a strike. Accuracy means every detail on your listing matches reality today, not what it looked like when you launched your property a year ago.
Rule number 4, cleanliness. Airbnb is no longer forgiving here. They're not waiting for a pest infestation report. If your guests consistently mention dirty dishes, pet hair, dust, mold, or a funky smell, you're out, period. Now here's the kicker. Airbnb didn't send out warnings to everyone. In many cases, hosts simply just woke up one morning and their listing was gone, completely removed. And no, they're not bringing them back. This isn't like the old days when you could sweet talk support, you had a homie that you knew of a homie. Once you're flagged under this new system, unless you have a rock solid appeal, you're literally done.
And it sounds harsh, but it's actually, again, part of the bigger strategy. Airbnb isn't just trying to avoid bad press or guest refunds. They're trying to rebuild trust at scale. They want every single booking to feel like you're staying at the best kept rental on the block. And honestly, I mean, I think as scary as it sounds, the shift is good news for serious hosts, because if you do the work, if you treat your listing like a real business, if you obsess over guest experience, you're going to rise to the top. But if you're cutting corners, hoping that Airbnb won't notice, they've already noticed.
And now they're not playing around. We saw tons of hosts posting online about waking up to finding their listings gone. No warning, no appeal. So we knew we had to stay ahead of this. But before we keep moving, we'd really appreciate it if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications. Every new subscriber really does mean a lot to us, and we have a goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers. So if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe and turn on those notifications.
By the way, if you're serious about running a smooth Airbnb business, grab our free Airbnb analysis calculator at therealestaterobinsons.com/calculator. It's 100% free and probably the best tool to use right now to analyze deals. All right, next let's talk about how we survived this purge. So again, while thousands of hosts were waking up to find their listings gone without warning, we were doing the exact opposite, right? We were doubling down on every single thing that mattered because we kind of knew that eventually this day would be coming. And if we're being honest, we weren't super surprised by the purge. In fact, we were kind of expecting it.
When Airbnb first started talking about things like guest favorites, listing percentile rankings, and updated quality controls, we took that as a very loud and clear message. Mediocrity won't cut it anymore. So here's what we did to make sure we weren't part of the 400,000 who got purged.
First, we set a rule in our business. Our listings always had to be audit ready. That meant that we ran monthly audits on every single property. We are usually folks from our team walk the homes with fresh eyes, right? We compared the photos to reality, we updated descriptions, we refreshed images. We just made sure that everything we promised in the listing was still accurate. If a guest said the sofa was different than the picture or the hot tub wasn't working, we took that feedback seriously. We didn't wait for Airbnb to notice it, we just tried to get ahead of it.
Second, we ran quarterly maintenance inspections, and these went way beyond cleaning. Our team would check every outlet to make sure it worked, swapped out all the air filters, tested appliances, made sure that the light bulbs were fresh, and walked through the entire unit with a checklist in hand. This helped us catch small problems before they turned into guest complaints. It also really gave us the confidence to know our listing descriptions were actually accurate. Third is communication. This is a huge one. We built a guest messaging system that guaranteed a response in under 2 minutes. How? We used a mix of virtual assistants, saved replies, autoresponders with our property management software.
Guests never felt ghosted. Even if we were asleep, they got almost an instant response, and Airbnb loves that. Fourth, we trained our cleaning crews like they were part of our core team, because they are, right? We didn't just hand them a checklist and hope for the best. We built a photo verification system with before and after shots. We included deep cleans on a regular basis. We asked for cleaner feedback on damage and wear and tear. Every single turnover was an opportunity to keep our listings on track.
And lastly, we tracked reviews like hawks. Anytime a guest left 4 stars or less, we reviewed it line by line. Was it legit? Was it a one-off? Was there a pattern forming? What was the root cause? And what corrective actions do we need to take to make sure it doesn't happen again? And if it was something we could fix, we made sure to get it fixed immediately.
Look, none of this was rocket science, but it did take discipline. It took building real systems. It took treating this business like an actual business, not a hobby. And that mindset, that's what helped us survive the purge. Because Airbnb doesn't just want properties anymore. They want consistency. They want trust. They want experiences that feel like they're actually curated by pros.
So if you're still running your listing like it's 2019, I hate to say it, but today's version of Airbnb doesn't have room for that. But if you're ready to step up, if you're willing to get your systems right and tight, clean up your operations, and elevate your guest experience, you're not just going to survive the next purge, you're actually gonna thrive because of it.
All right, so now that you know what Airbnb actually did and how we avoided the purge, let's talk about what you can start doing today. Because if you're watching this video and you're like, okay, cool, Tony, Sarah, but I already have listings on Airbnb, I don't want to get flagged, what do I do now? Then keep watching the video.
We're going to give you 5 steps you can implement immediately to bulletproof your listing and make sure you're in Airbnb's good graces.
These are the same steps we coach our students on inside of Alpha Host. They're not gimmicks, they're not hacks, they're just smart business moves that the Airbnb algorithm loves. All right, step number 1, run a quality audit on your listing. Start by reading every review that's less than 5 stars and don't just brush them off. Look for patterns. Are guests complaining about the same thing over and over again? Is there a consistent mention of cleanliness, confusing check-in, mismatched photos?
Next, walk your property like a guest. Would you be happy paying your current nightly rate for what you're offering? Does every amenity you've listed actually work? If anything feels off, update your listing page. The goal here is for your photos, amenities, and descriptions to match reality exactly.
Step number 2, automate your guest messaging. Airbnb now expects hosts to reply to urgent messages within an hour, especially during daytime or close to check-in. To hit that consistently, you need a system. Here's what we recommend. First, use autoresponders in your property management software to confirm check-in info and respond to frequently asked questions. Set up a virtual assistant or a co-host to cover evenings, weekends, or emergencies. Make sure someone is checking your inbox at all times, right? You can't afford to go dark. Airbnb is tracking your response time, and it's now an important part of your quality score.
Step number 3, clean like a superhost. This is a non-negotiable. Cleanliness is the one area where guests leave the harshest reviews, and Airbnb isn't waiting for mold or cockroaches anymore. Dusty fans and pet hair are enough to get flagged. So here's what to do. Build a detailed cleaning checklist for your turnover crew. Add a photo verification system, so before and after shots for each area. Schedule deep cleans at least once per quarter, things like the fridge, baseboards, under the beds. If your cleaner isn't catching the stuff that doesn't show up in a surface wipe down, it's time for a conversation.
Step number 4, improve your listing's accuracy, right? Airbnb is getting really strict on this. If your guests say your home isn't what they're expecting, you're at risk. So here's your checklist. Reshoot your listing photos every so often, or definitely after any major change or upgrade. Remove any amenity that you're not 100% sure is functioning correctly. Be brutally honest about the quirks of your listing. If you have a steep driveway, noisy neighbors, gravel road, etc. Guests don't mind minor issues, they do mind surprises. And Airbnb would rather have 100 honest hosts than 10 kind of perfect on paper listings that disappoint in person.
Step number 5, avoid cancellations. Cancellations are Airbnb's literally #1 guest complaint. So if you cancel a reservation, you better have a serious reason. So to avoid this, sync all your calendars across all platforms, double check your pricing and availability before going live, and do not list a property until it's 1000% guest ready. And if you do have to cancel, reach out to Airbnb support first, explain the situation, and ask if they can intervene on your behalf. That way it doesn't look like you're just bailing. So here's the truth. Airbnb doesn't expect perfection, but they do expect consistency. So if you want to survive whatever algorithm update comes next, build these habits now and run your property like a hotel. Keep it clean, respond fast, and tell the truth about your listing.
Because in 2025, hosting is no longer about renting a house. It's about delivering a professional, predictable guest experience.
Sure.
And if you can do that, you won't just stay listed, you might just dominate your entire market. All right, so now you know. Airbnb removed over 400,000 listings, and they did not do it to be dramatic. They did it to protect guest trust. And in a weird way, that's actually a huge opportunity for hosts like us, because if you can provide an experience that's consistent, professional, guest-focused, you're going to win in this new version of Airbnb.
Less competition, higher demand for quality, and a platform that's doubling down on people who just do things right. So now the ball's in your court. You can hope Airbnb doesn't notice your listing, or you can take action today and make sure there's nothing to hide.
And if you want our help, we've helped tons of hosts audit their listings, build out scalable systems, and start making real income through Airbnb through our company, Alpha Host Academy. In fact, we are so confident we can help you, we offer a 90-day guarantee. If you don't find an Airbnb in 90 days, you don't pay. So head over to the link in the description of this video to book a free strategy call with our team. No pressure, just a real conversation to see how we might be able to help you. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss our next video. That is it for today, guys. I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we are
the Real Estate Robinsons.